Okay guys, the video you're going to see after the intro is a very personal video to Joanne and I. And it's that personal to Joanne, she won't watch this. Brings back too many bad memories for her. And it's just heartbreaking for her to think about it. However, me, I work the other way. I need my battle scars to help me step forward. You know, if I don't endure them, I can't repair them. That's kind of the philosophy that I have. Now, when you look at most trading channels, they'll show you the glossy lights, the big cars, the flash money, and they'll talk about the money all the time. Anybody who shows that on a constant basis is an absolute arsehole. They genuinely are, because they're selling you the false side of trading. Trading is a professional job. It is a career. And if you don't put the hard work in, you are not getting it out on the other side. And don't for a second think it's easy, because it's not, you know. But life is not easy. And my life story is kind of a testament to that. Because some of the darkest times I've had in my life would probably break people. In fact, it broke me.
You ding-dong!
At one point. Broke me to the darkest point you would ever wish to go to. But I came through it because I had a leading light. And that light is still with me. Joanne. So if you think about it, the greatest gift can come from your worst nightmare. Let's have a look.
Matron, take them away.
Okay guys, the video starts up at the other house. It is currently in the state of renovation, so it's a bit echoey and a bit dusty, etc. So don't worry, it's only for a few seconds, and I'll give you a little clip of how daft we are when we're there, and then I'll get back to this desk and tell you the story. Okay, let's go find the wild wonder. Is she in here? Oh, no. Is she in here?
I'm here.
She's here.
I'm here.
Right. Sit next to her, eh? And make it look like I like her. That's it for me, thank you very much. Coffee with Scruff's going to be a little bit different. Oh yeah, bugger, that's red up. You do that on purpose, you mad bitch.
I just made it.
Fucking hell.
Wait, but we've made it with cold water, you twist.
I'm bloody the twist all the time through this video, I tell you. Jesus, that's red hot. So is she, really.
You dirty old man.
No, today is a tale of woe. And for those who follow the channel, you'll see our life has had ups and downs. And we're going to carry that story on a little bit from the big crash to where we are today. Because as you can see, we're sitting in a different house. And this is the house we just paid for outright. So come with me. I'll go home, clean up a little bit, and get to my desk and tell you a little story.
Well, we're waiting.
The winner takes it all. The loser stands and falls. And a warm welcome to one and all. And as I was saying earlier, this coffee with Scruff is going to be slightly different. It's going to start with a tale of war, and then it's going to move into how you can use that experience for the better. So if you haven't been here before, do go check out some of my other videos, and you might get a grasp of who and what I am. Because when I come into the channel, I script nothing. I never do. It's one of the principles of this channel. So when you see me trade, it's in the moment, real time, and what you see is what I see. And I think that is the fairest. Now, also in life, I don't script life either, because who can? You can't. You can plan and you can do things to the best of your ability, but there ain't no script for it. Why? Because the future's unknown. And what you do with that future is molded from elements of your past. And it can either break you or it can make you. And that comes down to the type of person you are. Now, personally, I always try and step forward. Even from the darkest points of my life, I will step forward. And that transpires into trading as well. And for trading, I've had some dark times in trading as well, where I've lost lots of money, and I've learned from those mistakes and I've stepped forward. So if this is something that might interest you, do subscribe, do like the channel. All of that does help and motivate me to do more. And if you've never seen me before, I am Big Scruff. And why? Well, have a look at the videos. I'm not exactly polished, am I? I have a tendency to swear a lot, tell a lot of dirty jokes. And why? Well, I love humour and I love life. And I think that's just the way it is. No, obviously we have an element of people out there that are just freeloaders and arseholes and will always sort of look to tear other people down. Now, that's the difference between failure and success. The loser will quit and complain about it. The winners could be in the same situation, lose, but just learn from it. Yeah, I've done this, didn't quite go to plan. But why didn't it go to plan? Was there anything I could have done? Is there anything I should have done? And then move on. Character. And the hardest parts of your life are a testament to your character. Now, for me, I have focus, and my focus is Winky. Everything I do for her. And more so now than ever. And let me explain in this tale of woe. But before I start, the house that you saw me standing in was purchased this week outright. No mortgage, nothing. I have zero debt. And I'm going to give a real special thank you to the 5%ers. Right? And if you don't know who they are a prop fund that'll put the money up to go to market, and then you have a profit split. Now, I'm privileged that I'll be speaking at an event that they're hosting this year down in London, which is Traders Day Live, because not only am I recognised by the fibers, I'm also recognised by the industry as being pretty good at what I do. And I can't thank them enough, because they've made today possible. Or I'll explain this a little bit further, actually. They've helped make today possible. 2 years ago, I started trading with them. And the first year, you might have seen that I bought a car that I was after, which was a Range Rover. And paid for it, all right. Second hand, it's not new. And this will all become apparent in just a second. But they helped me buy that car. And then since then, I've kept saving the money, because it's extra money to my wage. Every month, when I get my payout, I save it. Don't spend it on anything else, just put it in a bank account. And it's accelerate the purchase of a house. And this year, we've been able to buy a house outright. Now, 6 years ago, the thought of that wasn't even anywhere close. Not even close. And I'll tell you for why. If you look at a video, which is my story, and I'll drop a link to that in the comments, and do answer in the comments, because I respond to every single one of them personally. And if you do email, etc., I'll always answer. Can't give you the right answer all the time, but I will speak to you. Anyway, in that, it went through my life, and without going into a big history of my life, because you'll be able to see it in that video, I was in corporate, then went to business school, all that sort of stuff. Started my own business, did very well with it. Was managing director for a very, very long time. You know, over 17 years I was a managing director. And the company had to close through market conditions. Now, it was a decent sized company, had a lot of staff, you know, flew business class, all that sort of stuff. And We lost everything because you think you're protected, but you're not fully. And I'm one of these that I try to do everything correct because there's no black and white with me, you know, or rephrase that. There's no gray areas with me. Everything's black and white. You know, it's either right or it's wrong. And you'll hear me talk about that in trading as well, about to look at trading binary. Is it ready? Yes or no? This filters out the noise. And that's what I'm like as a person, you know. Will I accept an apology from somebody who's done something wrong to me? Yes, I'll accept it, but I still won't ever speak to you. I'll cut you dead. Why? Because there's nothing in the middle, you know. It's just kind of the way that I am, you know. If I'm going to fight for you, I will fight to the end for you. Just nature it is. And I've done it. And I've done it for people where I'll stand my ground. Anyway, I did it for myself and I lost badly. Lost to the tune of everything that I owned. I had property pension, one of the biggest houses on the estate, all of that sort of thing. And the bank took the lot. All right. And when you go through a corporate bankruptcy, they literally hang you to dry, you know. And we were left with £100. That's all we're allowed to keep. And we moved out of our big house into the pokiest, horrible house you will ever see. It was just awful. And going from brand new Mercedes into a second-hand car that was lucky if it would get it to the end of the street. All right, that's how far we fell. And the other side of that is, when you're flying high and you go to the golf club, everybody's, oh, look at that lad over there. You want to talk to him? He makes a fortune, you know. But the week that it all went tits up, it goes from, well, he's an idiot, him, lost all his money. But they make an assumption about something they know nothing about. And that's in trading as well. Because you make an assumption with limited knowledge. And that's why you get it wrong. But it's why people get character wrong as well. You know, just because I fell off the perch doesn't mean to say I was a failure. Just meant the market forces were against me and the wrong choice was made. That was it. So what you do is you dust yourself off. You think about what's going on and you correct it. Now, those same people who wouldn't speak to me when the thing went bust are now starting to want to speak to me because they've seen me on the telly and they've seen that in 6 years I've gone from zero and built back what I've lost. The difference is, you can't speak to me when I've got nothing. Don't try and speak to me when I have something. You know, the world don't work like that. And it certainly doesn't work like that for me. You know, strange thing that we did. And that's why these coffees with scruffs are a little bit different. Because they genuinely are from the heart. And I'll tell you what I think and I'll tell you what I see. Because I don't say anything that I haven't done or I'm not prepared to do. Whereas a lot of people are what I call gunners. Oh, I'm gonna do this. You know, oh, if only. Well, we all have the same chances. Now, even today, I've got good money in the bank. You know, not the richest man in the world, certainly not a millionaire, I'm far from it. You know, so I've still got a long ladder to climb up to where I was, but I'm on my way. I earn a good salary on par with a very good professional. This is from trading. But there's one part of the element that you need, and it's money. It takes money to make money. And if you are looking to go down the path of trading, going with a prop firm like the 5%ers, and I recommend them wholeheartedly, not because I trade for them and I get decent money from them off my own fruits, but because I trust them as a moral compass company. And that's a big thing for me, because there's a lot of prop industry out there that, well, let's put it this way. If you did 2% in a month, you are deemed a pretty good trader, 2% return, and you are outperforming every bank on the planet, every one of them, right? These prop firms expect you to do 10%, 20% in 30 days. How can you sustain that? You can't. So what they're doing is they're trying to push you into gambling. So I don't like that business model. I think it is terrible business model. And I'd be very wary of the intention behind it. 5%ers, on the other hand, you've got loads of time. You know, depending on the program that you're on. You have 3 strikes or 3 challenges rather in the boot camp. It takes 12 months. You've got 12 months to pass the instant funding. You know, and they did bring in a high stakes, but they push down your throat that it is high stakes and that you are like sort of flying right on the cusp. You know, the best of the 3 is the instant funding, because that is a true traditional way of trading. And if you want to survive this game, that's how you do it. But that's the element that helped me, because for the small investment you put into it, the return has been huge. And that's the point, because every time you hit a milestone, it doubles the account or it increases the account, and you have more buying power, which means you can increase your sort of position sizes based on the drawdown, and you can get a better return quicker than if you were doing it with your own funds. Because I'd spent, you know, 3.5 years, 4 years building up my own personal funds, whereas with the 5%ers I'd have done it in half the time, and I have done it in half the time. So that's going off on a tangent a little bit there. Anyway, cut long story short, lost everything, 100 quid in the bank, but I actually thought I was going to lose the best part of my life. You know, because when something like that happens, marriages don't last very long. Because it's funny how money comes into things, you know, and it always will. And if anybody ever speaks to me, and certainly from my Discord, they'll kind of show this. I'm not particularly materialistic. You know, I like nice things, but it's either I have it or I don't. I'm not craving it. But the one thing that I don't crave is money. I genuinely don't. I'll work for it, but it doesn't rule me. You know, money just helps me buy happiness, but I'm happy anyway. And when I watch people that are just striving, I call them freeloaders, right? I've got no time for freeloaders, where they think everything should be given to them free, but as soon as they get it, they won't share it with somebody else. You know, I think that's a bit wrong. And because of those people, that's where the Scruffy Squad was born. Because there is a number of them out there, and there's a few keep trying to get in touch, change their names, that sort of thing. But you sharp figure out who they are and just tell them to fuck off. I won't help these people. But everybody in the group, I'll bend backwards for them. And I do. You know, I work more hours than anybody to ensure that they succeed. And yes, you're going to have elements in there that just don't get it, which is fine. But I'd like to think while they were there, they were made welcome, and that they go on that journey better than they did when they came in. So where's that come from? Well, that just comes from my own moral compass. If you can, you should. And that's what I do. But I also have, as you've just heard, a bit of a stubborn streak in me as well. So kind of a split personality, shall we call it. Maybe it's the Aryan in me, because it's my birthday next week. I share it with the Titanic going down. So maybe that was a forewarning. But then again, I share it with Samantha Fox, and she's got a couple of good assets. So there you go. sorry, nearly got on one. Because this is meant to be a bit somber, but I'll just have a moment a second, boys. Well, girls, because she does like the girls, actually. Yeah, okay, I was happy with that moment for a while. Anyway, let's get back to this story. All right, lost everything, and I genuinely thought my marriage was going to go. And now that hurt me more than anything, you know. But in fact, it became the greatest gift from the worst nightmare, because my marriage would probably have cracked if I'd stayed in the factory. Because when you're flying very high, you do get an arrogant streak in you. You know, no one's going to tell me what to do, all of that sort of thing. And when you can buy anything you want, that definitely comes. And to get humbled back down to nothing. It was probably one of the best experiences ever because it pulled Joanne and I closer together than we were prior. And we sort of decided that we are going to rebuild this, but we'll rebuild it together because Joanne worked in the factory with me. So when it went, we lost all of our income, everything. And I won't go to the benefits or anything like that. I've never claimed a thing in my life. Don't get me wrong, I believe in the system. If you fall down, it should be there to pick you up. And if you're cold, we'll put a coat on your back. What I don't believe in is the abuse of the system where people think it's a God-given right and they should claim this, claim that, and never work a day in their life. Well, you're a scumball, you're a fuckhead, and you want to get a life, and the day that they shut off your benefits is the day I'll be dancing. There's a good one for you. That'll friggin' backlash if you. But they deserve it because they have no intention of working. They've got no intention of putting it in the pot. And to me, that's theft. You know, I'm paying into that pot to ensure people can move forward and be better in life. Not to support somebody's bloody just sitting on the couch watching Jeremy Kyle. That's just horrid. Anyway, sorry. It's a subject you never get me on. So cut long story short, I've never claimed a thing in my life either. Right? Factory shut on the Friday. I figured out how to get work on the Monday. But the one work I wanted to do was the job I do now, my trading. Because I traded quite well in the company and I'd started to get used to it as an income personally, starting to learn how to day trade because my company trading is a lot different to what I do today. It was a form of trading called forward purchasing, which is completely different. Anyway, cut long story short, you need money to make money. I didn't have any. You know, we was lucky if we had £25 a week for groceries and shopping. Right? That's how little money we had. But you find out who your friends are and things like that. And I found out that I've got really one friend. And short of sleeping with Joanne, this guy can do whatever he likes. And I'll look after him for the rest of his life. I genuinely will. Doesn't matter what he does. I'll look after him. And he held his hand out and said, we'll fix it. So went back on the tools, jumped in a van on Monday morning with him. And we started earning. A little bit here, a little bit there. And every time I had to spare £5, never went to McDonald's, there was no pizzas, no cinema, no treats, nothing. Yeah? But I put £5 into trading fund. And then I could maybe put £10 into a trading fund. Scraped a bit of money that Joanne could get a bunch of wholesale sweets. And she broke them up and she sold them. And then from the money that she got from that, she bought some more and sold them. Built it up to the point where she could save enough for a deposit on a little unit. So I need a little place as well because you need somewhere to work and all of this sort of thing. So it seemed to be a good idea. So she went into a little unit, you know, and I built her an office and all that sort of thing. And she sold our sweets in there and it was cheap, you know, and wasn't sort of what you would expect a sweet seller to have, but made do with what she had. She built it up, saved enough for a deposit on a shop, got a shop, right? And it was all done up front because you have to, because when you go through what we've just gone through, even today, Joanne and I can't finance that cup. We really can't because nobody wants to know you. And even when you got money in the bank and everything like that, as soon as you say it, you're written off. And certainly because, I mean, I'm 53 next week. You're wrong age. Nobody wants to know. So you got to do it on your own. That's what we did. So she got a shop and that started us going. And I kept working and I did it for about a year. And I kept putting money into the pot and then working during the day, trading on a night. Working during the day, trading on a night. Well, after 12 months, I was able to stop working during the day and come back behind a desk and work the charts fully. Rebuild a small pot that could start giving me a small wage. And I spent the next 12 months doing that. and it built up and compounded it. Didn't take a great deal out of it. You know, I took what I needed for a wage, and then when it came across the years, you know, we now 6 years since this all happened. It built up, built up, built up, and 2 years ago that acceleration came from the prop. So where does this all tie into trading? It's basically about your attitude in life. You know, you can go down the mindset route. Now, if you're going down the mindset route, and I did have an email about this today, so I'll give a little salute to you, my father. You know exactly who you are. You either have it or you don't. If you're a sort of loser and sort of failure in life, there's normally a good reason, and it's to do with your attitude. You know, if you want to go get it, get it. You know, and if it takes time, fine. Biggest journey in the world starts with a single step, but you've got to take that step. And if you're not prepared to take the first step, how are you going to get there in the first place? So you've got to put your work in, you've got to put your education in, because every time you take a step, you get stronger, because your muscle mass will increase, all that sort of stuff. Well, I think your life is a personal journey like that. You know, I've had many sort of bad times in my life, you know, some that probably write a lot of people off. But when you wake up the next day, I'm still me, you know, but I'm a little bit more experienced than I was yesterday. That's how I look at things, you know. And I posed a question in one of the videos about, should you be half full or half empty when you're trading? And it was a double-edged question. See, as a person, I'm actually quite a half full sort of person. You know, I'm quite positive. If it's wrong, I'll look for the element that I can take shine from. And what I mean by shine is a light in the darkness. Now, when the company collapsed, all right, didn't have my Mercedes anymore, lost my big house, all that sort of stuff. But I had the best shining light in the world, which is Joanne. You know, as long as I see her smile, I'm the richest man on this planet. I really am. So that is the light that I took. And then I made every day certain that I keep that smile there. Now, if you can do that, you have purpose. And if you have purpose, you have focus. You just got to put it in the right place. But with trading, should you look at it that way? Or should you look at it half empty? I actually look at my charts half empty, which is a curious one to say. And I'll explain that one as well. If I go at the charts gun-ho, and I think I'm going to win, and I refuse to be wrong, because half full people can be like that. You know, they just don't see any of the errors in their way. They look for the good in everything and all of that, which is right. And that's a wonderful person. But as a trader, when I'm looking at the chart, I don't want to be that person. I want to be somebody who is defensive and is looking for what's wrong with it. And if I can see what's wrong with it, and I've also got a defensive stance, I'm prepared for battle. And then that helps me. So it was kind of a double-edged way. I do look at the charts in a case of, I'll start with 0 and I'll end with 1. And if I do that, I'm happy. But I'm always on the back foot. Scruffy Madness came because I'm always on the back foot. So how do I capitalize on being on the back foot? I trade backwards instead of trading forwards. And when I sort of earn money, I split it down the middle as well. You know, half of it is for the trading pot, half of it is mine. Once I've hit the wages, we then go into bonus situation. And again, half of it is for the business, half of it goes into a slush fund, to pay a bonus for pensions and cars and all these different things. So I'm actually being defensive with my money management as well. You know, I'm always on the back foot when I'm trading, and that just stops me being aggressive, because if I'm aggressive, I'll probably lose. And how do I know that? Because I was aggressive in business, and I went at it really hard, flew up high, and boy did I crash. So I do everything on a defensive note now. Hope that all makes sense. But really, I just wanted to show you something from the heart while I was talking, because to go from a point of having nothing 6 years ago to coming out of a crappy house into a better house that you saw me in, and now to buy another house and again have zero financing and just pay for it, doesn't half make you sleep well at night, you know. And that's what I'm after, you know. When we had the factory, I mean, I had God knows how much over my head at any one time, you know, because we used to buy lots of things, and that's the way that industry runs. It runs on credit lines and various things, and if the rug's pulled from underneath you, that's it. You know, it's time to go. I mean, when the company closed, it owed nothing, you know. I wasn't in arrears with anything. Bank pulled the overdraft, which meant we would go into arrears, which technically means you're insolvent. I have to bring in the receivers. If I don't, it's classed as wrongful trading, and I could be prosecuted for it. But again, I did everything right, and I paid the price for it. But the price, looking back in time, was the best price, because it's now given me a life that I wouldn't trade for the world. And funny enough, it's actually given me more freedom than I used to have. I used to think I was free to do what I want in the factory, but I couldn't. It was a physical place. I had people work for me. I had to go look after them, all this sort of thing. Now it's just me and Joanne, and we've built our trading up so well. I mean, you've seen that she sold the business that she built up, and she did quite well out of it. And now she can enjoy the fruits of that labour with our grandchildren. She works in this office with me, funny enough, selling these things. So if you like these, there's a little trade shelf. Sells mugs, keeps her amused, and we have a wonderful life. So I'll say it again. You get the greatest gift from your worst nightmare. Just because it's gone wrong doesn't make you say it can't get any better. Cherish your thoughts. So as always, guys, trade well, keep your risk managed, but above all, do what you love, and the money will follow. See you all in the next one.